Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. So apologies about the lighting. There is a bit of sunlight kind of peering through. I'm gonna try my best to block it with one of my screens, hopefully. So yeah, hopefully the lighting won't be too disrupted. But today we will be filling up kind of like a sketchbook spread, I guess, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to title this video like favorite way to fill up a sketchbook spread. And I don't think it comes as a surprise that my favorite way to fill up a sketchbook spread is just with pure graphite. I was showing you guys just like a quick spread that I've done where I did add color instead of just leaving it plain graphite. And I feel like, I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion, but I actually really like working with graphite the most in sketchbooks usually, and more particularly this notebook, I guess, or I don't know how to explain this, so I probably won't explain it again, but yeah, this is technically a notebook, so it has this nice smooth thinner paper, and it works really well with graphite or like the mechanical pencil. It takes darks really well, but also because of how smooth, and I don't know, the paper's not like too soft, so I can make lots of sharp, clean, light lines as well, and that's how I usually like to sketch. Start off somewhat light and then gradually get darker and then press really hard to get some cleaner lines to make the drawing kind of stand out more, and then go on to shading. So in terms of the person I'm drawing today, or doing the spread of, I am drawing Goro from Genshin Impact. So I think on Saturday's video, like last Saturday, I talked about drawing Goro too much, and this is part of why I've been drawing him so much. I've been drawing him more in my sketchbook, so yeah, I decided to do a session and show you guys how I usually approach stuff with graphite if I'm just sketching. So usually if I'm doing a spread, I like to plan it just a little bit. So sometimes I either plan out that maybe I want to do a series of poses, or if I'm going to do more of an in-depth look at a character, sometimes I'll start off with a headshot, move on to like half body, full body, and then gradually get more familiar with the character. But like I said, I've drawn Goro before, so I decided that I wanted to focus on more bow poses, like bow and arrow poses. So that's why I searched up on Pinterest to find some poses so I could just stick Goro into them. But for the first one, I did struggle a little bit. Pardon me. Because the pose that I was using, I didn't use the direct pose of it, if that makes sense. The person who was in the reference, I believe, had a hood up, so it was hard for me to see their stance, and I've turned Goro's face a lot more towards the viewer, I guess, compared to the reference that I had. So for me, I feel like it was hard for me to disconnect following the reference too closely versus picking what I wanted to do. So I kind of made it look like his head's a little too squished into his body for the first one as he's turning around, but it's also because of he's looking over his shoulder, but he also has like the turtleneck and a collar kind of thing around his neck, so everything is just kind of squished too much for this one. But for the most part, I actually really like this spread, so I'm not gonna ding myself too hard about the mistakes in this one. I just really wanted to focus on completing a spread where I kind of take the sketch further in terms of pushing the values, hopefully adding enough detail so that things can read a little bit more properly. I'm gonna say this now, but I think Goro's, the arm that I'm working on currently, I believe his gloves or his hands are fully covered, and for some reason I was looking at references of Goro, and I keep forgetting that a lot of Genshin characters are not like symmetrical, so a lot of them have like asymmetrical designs. So Goro has a fingerless glove on one hand, and on the other hand he has like a full-on glove, so I kind of forget about that, and in several, actually all three of these little sketches that I do, I draw his glove incorrectly, but that's okay. That's just future like note to myself, I guess. But the reason why I really prefer using graphite for like a lot of my sketches, I know like, well, for the most part, people don't like using graphite for, I guess, like several reasons. One, maybe they don't like the look of monochromatic stuff. Maybe you're more into like intense color or like a pop of something to catch your eye rather than something a little bit more monotoned. Or if you don't like putting the contrast for graphite, then stuff might look a little bit messy or just doesn't stand out. Another one is like a lot of people don't like keeping the page super clean, but I try my best to keep working from left to right, as I'm right-handed, so I don't have to smudge any of the sketches. But if I really have to go back into a certain area, then I will definitely put some kind of paper underneath my hand and just like lift it up a little bit every time I need to move it, so I don't like budge the graphite. But also, like, some people don't want to worry about, I guess like a lot of these seem like things you have to worry about if you're using graphite. So even like after you're done a spread, you kind of have to like protect the pages. So like you'll have to keep like maybe a piece of paper in between your pages if you're working on the next page over for a while, because you don't want the sketches to kind of imprint on each other by accident. Or you could also spray it with workable fixative or some kind of spray, so that kind of like keeps it from smudging and all that jazz. For me, I don't really mind all of those, I guess. I usually keep spare pieces of paper in my sketchbook, like at the back if there's a pocket, or I'll just insert it into several pages, and then when I need them I will shuffle them, and further away we get from those sketches, I'll keep pulling out those pages and adding them to like new areas that need them. But yeah, I just really enjoy it. I like pushing the values, I like sketchier lines, I like being able to work from light to dark super quickly, and for the most part I think I did an okay job keeping it light to dark. And when I'm darkening stuff, I try to press harder with the pencil to get those crisp lines, and then press harder if I need to shade some areas. I don't really cross hatch too much. I do a little bit of hatching for the most part, kind of like this back and forth scribbling motion to shade, but I don't really cross hatch as much. I don't really like the look of cross hatching if I'm using pencil, if it's not like uniform and clear. I just kind of shade like willy-nilly for the most part. And yeah, I don't know, there's something about like pencil sketches that like I personally really like. And I think I have a video about how I approach sketching, and I recommend I think 3 different artists that kind of encapsulates how I approach sketching. One main artist that I really looked up to during when I was like struggling with traditional art or just like sketching in general with pencil was It's Birdie. So definitely recommend checking him out if you're interested in kind of learning the idea of like general to specific, as well as doing like messier gestural sketching, or like making things messy before you start to refine and darken things. I think he erases a little bit more than I do, but I think you can erase when you need to. It's not like a set rule of like don't erase, because if that was the case then I might as well use ballpoint pen instead. But yeah, all 3 of these I did find some kind of pose on Pinterest, and all I searched up, I think, let's see, it was bone arrow poses, I think is what I searched up, and there was quite a few to pick from, so that's what I chose. But yeah, I don't know why I feel so nervous doing the voiceover for this one. I really enjoyed doing the sketching. Oh, that was another thing. I think in my last Sketchbook Doodles video, I said that I wanted to build like a sketching habit. And for the most part, I haven't sketched every single day, but the days that I do sketch, I've either done more than one spread or like more than one page, which is nice. And for the most part, I've been drawing in the sketchbook a lot more than before, and I think part of it is because of this paper. I don't feel too precious with this paper, as well as it's thinner, it takes graphite nicely, it also takes pencil crayon, it takes washes okay. It, like I said, it's like thinner paper, a notebook. It also can take gouache if you're careful enough. There's a lot of buckling, but for the most part it takes all the mediums that I like to use nicely. So yeah. But in terms of process, I think I talked about it, general to specific, starting lighter, and if I really like lines that I've already sketched out, I will just slowly darken them. And once I've darkened them, then I start to shade, so I can make sure that the darkest areas are established usually, which tends to be my line work with the pencil. So yeah, I think, what else to talk about? I was gonna show you guys like sketches from before where I've used graphite a lot, but I think if you're interested, you can look at like old sketchbook tours from like maybe like 2014 past 2014, I think, up to 2018. I've done like a lot of graphite work, I think, in my sketchbooks, a little bit of realism in there, but then just kind of like this doodling method of overlapping sketches and kind of let them kind of run into each other without planning too much or making it look super neat. For the most part, Goro's, I think his left arm on the second sketch kind of disappears into the third Goro. So yeah, I was gonna leave more of a gap, but at this point I didn't really care. I think before, when I used to sketch with pencil and I would do kind of this layout where I would sketch from one side and move to another side and kind of just let the sketches kind of not overlap, but they kind of just meld together. I would be a little bit more meticulous about picking things that would fit and slot nicely into certain spaces, and before I wouldn't really draw over the kind of like the seam of the page or like the binding area. I think near this part I will start to insert some slower footage. This was actually by mistake, but I thought it'd be nice to show you guys some real-time sketching. I don't know, I don't spend too much time doing these, but it's kind of nice to slow down once in a while and just draw, and maybe if you want to focus on details or like pushing values and stuff. For the most part, after I've sketched out things lightly and I start to darken the lines that I like you can see I'm picking out certain lines and I'm pressing really hard. When I shade over the sketch, like my rough sketch, I guess, like the really light lines, they kind of disappear a little bit. So for the most part, after I finish and I kind of zoom out, some of the sketch lines kind of get lost because of how dark I've rendered certain things. Or not even rendered, I don't even want to, like, what would you call it? I don't know. The shading, I guess. Once I start shading things like really dark, your eyes just don't really see like a lot of the lighter lines. And I think that's like a perk of not needing to erase too much. I've also developed the habit of using the Kneaded Eraser on mechanical pencils instead of like using those white erasers or like those hard erasers, so that I will try my best to keep everything light and like erase what I don't like first, and then when I like a line I will darken it, and then hopefully I won't have to budge it, because if I do, then the Kneaded Eraser won't really take it out. But it works really nicely with like lighter sketches, and like, I don't know, I think the Kneaded Eraser can do a lot for the most part if you take your time to use it properly. Hopefully I haven't rambled too much, but I still have 2 minutes to kill. Recently, actually, if you follow me on Instagram, I talked about this, but I applied for a convention. I'm just hoping things on the situation in my province gets better so that, you know, I can participate in the convention. I don't know if I'm gonna get in. I didn't last year. I did it like the first year I got in, and then the second year I went to a different convention in the neighboring city, and then after that, I think the next 2 years I didn't get into either of them. I was on the waiting list and I was like very high in the numbers. I was like 98 for one of them and then like 112 for the other one. So yeah, it's been a while since I went to a convention, and obviously with the current situation it's not possible, but hopefully next year it will be, and maybe I'll get in this time. It'll be nice. I think it'll be nice. I'm just don't know if I'm gonna be tabling with a friend, if they would like to assist me at tabling like they did the past other years, but they've been adulting and moving away and stuff, so who knows. Maybe I can get one of them to help me out, and like, I don't know, we'll see. I'm just blabbing on at this point, but maybe in the future if I do more of these graphite sessions, and maybe I'll do an ASMR version as well, but I would like to do some more real time. I don't think I'll keep the sounds in real time unless I'm leaving it in ASMR format. I find that if I talk and sketch at the same time, the footage can go on for like several hours, and my computer just doesn't have the space for it, which is why I tend to speed up the footage and just cut the audio out. But yeah, I'm just rambling at this point. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video for today, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Bye!